South Sudan, 2002, a city on fire. Not metaphor, actual fire, gunshots in the streets. Families running in the dark with nothing but the clothes on their backs. And somewhere in that chaos, a 5-year-old boy named Thon Maker was being carried out of the only home he'd ever known. Not by his mother, not by his father, by his uncle in the middle of the night with no guarantee they'd make it past the border. His parents stayed behind. Fast forward 14 years. Barclays Center, Brooklyn, June 23, 2016. That same boy is standing on the biggest stage in basketball, shaking hands with NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. Pick number 10, Milwaukee Bucks.
The Milwaukee Bucks select Thon Maker.
$15 million waiting. But here's what nobody in that arena knew: there was a man standing in the shadows behind all of this. And nobody, not the scouts, not the coaches, not the journalists who covered every minute of that draft, could quite figure out if that man was a guardian angel or something else entirely. Let's get into the story. Now, let's go back to the beginning. The Maker family comes from the Dinka people, one of the tallest ethnic groups on the face of this earth. His father stands 6'8". His mother stands 6'3". So when Thon was born in WOW in 1997, size was already written into his DNA before he ever touched a basketball, before he ever touched anything. But size doesn't keep you alive in a civil war, and South Sudan had been tearing itself apart for decades. By the time Thon was 5 years old, his uncle, a local administrator, a man who understood exactly what was coming before most people could see it, made a decision in a single night. Thon goes. His younger brother Matur goes. Their aunt goes. They cross the border into Uganda. They don't look back. His parents stayed behind. Not because they didn't love him, because the situation made staying the only option they had. And I need you to really sit with that, the weight of sending your children away into the unknown. Because staying is more dangerous than letting them go. They spent approximately 1 year in a Ugandan refugee camp. Thon was 5, then 6. What does a child that age understand about displacement? Probably not much. But his body understood hunger, and his eyes understood what it meant when people around you disappeared and nobody explained why. Then came Australia, Perth, Western Australia, 2002. The government accepted them as refugees, and just like that, a family that had been running was finally allowed to stop. Thon walked into that city for the first time, unable to speak a single word of English. But years later, sitting at the NBA draft combine in Chicago, he would describe what he saw with the kind of clarity that only someone who had come from nothing could truly have. There was access to whatever you wanted, he said. You go to the park, play with kids. There's plenty of parks in Australia, like good ones, with good grass. Good grass. That's what freedom looked like to him. Good grass. His father remained in South Sudan. Thon has spoken about visiting him only once back in 2009. They communicate regularly. His father keeps him informed about the political situation back home. How many people have been killed? What is happening on the ground? His mother is there too. They are both still there today, now. In Perth, Thon did what every South Sudanese kid in Mirabuka did. He played soccer, fast, long-legged, moving in ways that bodies his size usually can't. Nobody was thinking NBA. Nobody was even thinking basketball. He was just a tall kid from a refugee family trying to find solid ground in a suburb where a lot of people were doing exactly the same thing. Then one day, a man named Edward Smith walked onto that field. And everything changed. Smith was an American of African American heritage who had spent years working with young people from migrant backgrounds in Australia, finding kids with potential and giving them opportunities they would never find on their own. He had done it before, with other South Sudanese kids. But when he saw Thon moving on that soccer field in Mirabuka already past 6'7" at 14 years old, he stopped. Because what he saw wasn't a soccer player, What he saw was a basketball player who didn't know it yet. Smith went to Thon's aunt with an offer. "Come to Sydney, live with my family. I will feed him, clothe him, educate him, and I will get him to the NBA." Now when a stranger walks up and says something like that, most families say no. Most families slam the door. Thon's aunt said yes. And with the blessing of his parents back in South Sudan, Edward Smith became Thon Maker's legal guardian. What followed was 7 years of movement. Sydney first, where Thon played for the St. George Basketball Association in 2011. Then a talent camp in Texas, where scouts started taking notice immediately. Then Louisiana, 2 different schools. Then Carlisle School in Martinsville, Virginia, where things got serious. At Carlisle, Thon averaged 22 points, 13 rebounds, and 4.5 blocks per game across 53 games. He won Gatorade Virginia Player of the Year. He led the team to a state championship. Kentucky was calling. Kansas was calling. Notre Dame was calling. A kid who a few years earlier had never played organized basketball was being recruited by the most powerful college programs in America. Then came Orangeville Prep in Ontario, Canada, where he shared a locker room with a young point guard named Jamal Murray, where his highlight reels went viral on YouTube, and the whole basketball world started asking the same question: who is this kid? But here's the thing nobody talked about enough. Every single time Thon moved to a new school, Smith with him. And every single time, Smith found a way onto the coaching staff at that same school. Louisiana, Virginia, Canada, without exception, 4 countries, 7 years, 1 direction, and 1 man there for every single step. Now, here's where the story gets complicated. Because Edward Smith, the man who made all of this possible, was somebody that the basketball world could never quite figure out. College coaches who dealt with him came away confused. Not angry. Confused. One coach told ESPN, off the record, "I could never figure him out. I could never decide if he was a good guy or not. He was something of a mystery." Smith never returned interview requests. Nobody got a straight answer. And the more you looked at the pattern, Thon moves, Smith joins the staff, Thon moves again. Smith joins the next staff, the more questions stacked up with no clean answer underneath them. Now, I am not here to tell you what that means. But I need you to understand one thing. Whoever controls where a young athlete trains, who coaches him, which scouts see him, which schools recruit him, that person controls the player's future. Full stop. Whether that was protection or something more complicated than protection, nobody has ever been able to say for certain. And Thon? He has never said a bad word about Edward Smith publicly. Not once. But Smith wasn't the only thing standing between Thon Maker and the NBA. There was a second obstacle, and this one had a name and a rule book, the NBA's one-and-done rule, introduced in 2005. Officially to protect young players. But here is the mechanism nobody talks about openly. That rule required young men to spend at least 1 year generating revenue for college basketball programs before they were allowed to earn a single professional dollar. Think about what that does to a kid from a refugee family. A kid whose parents are still in South Sudan. A kid who has already been waiting his entire life. Thon's camp found a loophole. They argued his final year at Orangeville Prep was a postgraduate year, meaning he was technically 1 year removed from graduation and therefore eligible. Stunningly, the NBA agreed, but in the days before the draft, a new storm hit. Scouts started whispering. Front offices started whispering that Thon wasn't 19 years old as listed, that he was closer to 21, maybe 23. The records from war-torn South Sudan were not exactly pristine. Several teams quietly crossed his name off their boards. Thon laughed it off. Every reporter who asked him about the age questions described the same thing: dignity, poise, a calm that didn't make sense for someone whose entire future was being questioned out loud. But I want you to think about what that actually means. To have survived a civil war, a refugee camp, 7 years of movement across 4 countries. And then be told by the most powerful sports league in the world that they're not sure you are who you say you are. Man. June 23, 2016. Barclays Center, Brooklyn. In the weeks leading up to draft night, Thon had done something almost unheard of for a top prospect. He skipped the official combine scrimmages entirely. No public 5-on-5, no showcase games on the main floor. Just private meetings and elite camp appearances. Scouts were frustrated. One evaluator told ESPN directly, "We don't know. He's this kid no one has seen, but his reputation is so grand." But when Thon showed up for the measurements, he made every second count. Third tallest player in the room, without shoes. 6'11" and 3/4. Wingspan of 7'3". And then the vertical jump. No step vertical. 32 inches. The highest ever recorded at the NBA Draft Combine for any player standing over 6'11" in the history of the measurement. A 7-footer with the explosive leap of a shooting guard, 32 inches, y'all. The Bucks sat with that number. And they made their decision. With the 10th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, Milwaukee selected Thon Maker. He became the first high school player taken in the first round since 2005, the first young man to beat the one-and-done rule that had locked out prep players for over a decade. On July 30th, he signed his rookie contract. 4 years, $11.6 million. Guaranteed money for a boy whose family had spent a year in a Ugandan refugee camp. His family wasn't in that arena. They couldn't travel. But somewhere in South Sudan, his parents heard the news. The boy they had sent away in the middle of the night to survive had made it, minutes after being drafted. Thon spoke to reporters via satellite from Melbourne, and what he said was not a celebration. It was not relief. It was something quieter and more dangerous than both of those things. "I want to be great," he said. "And I know the whole path just started again." The whole path just started again, because the NBA was not going to be a finish line. It was going to be the hardest test yet. February 7, 2019. The Milwaukee Bucks traded Thon Maker to the Detroit Pistons as part of a 3-team deal. Milwaukee wanted Nikola Mirotic for their championship run alongside Giannis. Thon was the piece they moved to get him. A human transaction. And the front office said what front offices always say: in these moments it wasn't personal, it was business. But I want you to count the moves with me. Sudan to Uganda, Uganda to Perth, Perth to Sydney, Sydney to Texas, Texas to Louisiana, Louisiana to Virginia, Virginia to Canada, Milwaukee to Detroit. That's 8 moves before he was 22 years old. And it wasn't done. Detroit to Cleveland, where he signed in November 2020 and was waived 6 weeks later on January 14, 2021. Just like that. No ceremony, no press conference. A lottery pick, the 10th selection in the entire 2016 draft, was out of the NBA. Done. The door didn't slam, it just quietly closed. Now think about who was moving forward at exactly that same moment. Jamal Murray, who shared a locker room with Thon at Orangeville Prep, was becoming a playoff legend in Denver. Jaylen Brown, picked 3rd in that same 2016 draft, was becoming an all-star in Boston. Brandon Ingram, picked 2nd, was earning a max contract in New Orleans. These were Thon's peers, his contemporaries, the men drafted in the same room on the same night. And while their names were getting bigger, his was disappearing, still alive, still breathing, still here, and nobody knew he kept playing. Hapoel Jerusalem in Israel, Fujian Sturgeons in China. Leagues that most NBA fans have never watched, courts that most basketball writers have never covered. But Thon Maker showed up to every single one of them, because he is not built for stopping. He has never been built for stopping. That's not who his family raised him to be. Then came June 1, 2024, Beirut, Lebanon, FIBA West Asia Super League Final, Al Riyadi versus Sagesse. And in that game in a gym, the basketball world was not watching. Thon Maker scored 35 points and grabbed 15 rebounds and won a championship. He was named the inaugural WSL MVP, the first man ever to hold that award, a man who had been traded, waived, and exiled across 3 continents standing on a championship podium. Just not the one the world expected. And that right there tells you everything you need to know about who Thon Maker actually is. The boy who left WoW with nothing has earned over $15 million playing professional basketball. His rookie contract alone, $11.6 million, signed by a kid whose family crossed a war zone with nothing, is a number that his parents back in South Sudan probably still can't fully comprehend. Not because they aren't intelligent, but because some distances between one life and another are too large for any number to truly cross. And it wasn't just Thon. His brother Matur made the same journey, same refugee route, same Edward Smith, same prep circuit across America and Canada, and went on to win an NBL championship with the Sydney Kings in 2022. His cousin Alir never touched a basketball seriously and became a star in the Australian Football League with Port Adelaide. A family that fled a war zone with nothing built a legacy that now spans 3 different sports across 4 different countries. Think about what that does to a family name. Now, was Edward Smith a good man who gave a refugee kid the only real shot he was ever going to get, or was he something more complicated than that? I've laid out everything I know. Y'all can decide for yourselves. What I do know is this. Go find the WSL Championship Final from June 2024. Find that game on YouTube. Watch Thon Maker drop 35 points and 15 rebounds on a stage the basketball world wasn't watching. And then ask yourself, why didn't you know his name before today? He is 28 years old. 28 years old. Still here. Still playing. Still moving forward the only way he has ever known how. Respect to the boy from WoW Thon Maker. The world owes you more than it has given.